Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. I am so excited you're tuning in for this one. Today, we are taking a really incredible journey into what it actually means to find your life's passion. We're going to be looking at some deeply inspiring stories, one pretty tragic warning, and we'll even learn a secret tool to help you share your own story with the world. Let's get right into it. Okay, so let's start with a big one. What do you actually want to be when you grow up? An artist? An engineer? Maybe a coder? Well, there's a fancy word for this kind of life's calling, and it's called a vocation. Now, a vocation isn't just some job you do to pay the bills. It's a skill-based work that you feel naturally drawn to. It's almost like it's literally pulling you towards it.
But here is a really tough question for you guys. Passion versus practicality. Which one would you actually choose? Just imagine you have to pick between a messy, totally exhausting job that you absolutely love doing, or a clean, super comfortable job that pays really well but just doesn't excite you at all. It's tricky, right? Well, let's see how one young girl faced exactly this dilemma.
Part 1. Scintilla's dream to make pots.
Meet Scintilla. She's a young girl with a massive, massive dream. While all the other kids were out playing, Scintilla had this deep, hidden fascination with making pots out of clay. I mean, she absolutely loved the art of pottery. But there was a catch. She had to keep these beautiful clay dreams a big secret from her family. Why? Because she overheard her parents talking, and her mother thought pot making was a terrible, completely unrewarding job.
And let's actually break down her mother's logic here, because honestly, it was perfectly practical. On one hand, you have pottery. It's incredibly messy. You have to walk 16 kilometers to the riverbank just to dig up the clay, then carry those heavy loads uphill until your back aches. And the worst part? After months of hard work, it pays a tiny, tiny pittance. On the other hand, her mom suggested weaving. Weaving is clean, it's done indoors no matter the season, it's much faster, and it brings in a really handsome return of money. So logically, weaving wins hands down, right?
Part 2. The value of handmade crafts.
So why couldn't Scintilla just let her pottery dream go and become a weaver? Well, it's because passion doesn't always listen to logic. There is this immense value and joy in handmade crafts, rooted in gorgeous traditions like Warli art. For Scintilla, just watching the potters was straight up magical. She would go visit them and watch them mix the water and clay, completely mesmerized by how skillfully they pushed their hands into the softened clay just to give it shape. In fact, the story describes this feeling so perfectly. Quote, "The regular tap-tap of the spatula on the clay was music to her ears." Just imagine that for a second. She watched a completely shapeless lump of clay transform into a perfect pot right before her very eyes. It was pure magic to her. But listen, having a passion doesn't mean it's going to be easy right out of the gate. Scintilla actually tried to make a pot herself at first, but she felt super clumsy and tense. The clay was being incredibly stubborn, it just wouldn't take the right shape. She actually gave up for a second, wearily letting the misshapen lump fall. But then, a really kind mentor named Anula stepped in and offered to teach her. Scintilla listened closely to the instructions, took a deep breath, tried again with this newfound confidence, and finally, she succeeded. She created a beautiful pot. And I think that just shows us that failure is literally just part of the process, and having a good mentor makes all the difference in the world. And this kind of dedication, it applies to all sorts of artistic vocations. Take stone carving, for example. Step 1, you carefully choose the right stone. Step 2, you carve it to remove all those large, unwanted portions. And Step 3, you refine the creation that's hidden within the stone to bring out the imagined shape. So just like Scintilla shaping her clay, creating any kind of art requires so much patience, learning the right steps, and constantly practicing your skills. Okay, let's just take a really quick breath here to reflect. It's so wonderful when passion leads to success, exactly like it did for Scintilla. But what happens when someone has all the passion in the entire world but completely refuses to adapt to a changing environment? Well, let's look at a much more serious story. Part 3. The tragic tale of Mr. Gessler. So, Mr. Gessler was a man who made the absolute best, highest quality leather boots in all of London. Nobody could beat his work. But sadly, he met a deeply tragic fate. As the new shop owner revealed, quote, "slow starvation," the doctor called it. How on earth could the best bootmaker in all of London meet such a terrible end? Well, his story is actually a really important warning for us. Let's break down what went wrong. Mr. Gessler was an extreme perfectionist. He absolutely refused to let anyone else touch his boots, so he did every single thing himself. Plus, he never advertised his products. And because he worked completely alone, it took him way too much time to complete orders.
people just wouldn't wait around for him. So ultimately, he lost all of his customers to modern competition. He had this immense passion and undeniable talent, but he completely lacked the practical skills to survive in a fast-paced world.
So how do we make sure we don't make Mr. Gessler's mistakes? Simple. We adapt and we learn the rules of the world around us. Just like Scintilla had to learn the rules of shaping clay to make a good pot, we need tools to communicate our own ideas clearly to others. And honestly, one of the best secret tools in storytelling and communication is, drumroll please, grammar.
Part 4. Grammar. What are determiners? Now, don't worry, I promise this isn't going to be complicated. We're just going to look at a super simple but really powerful grammar concept, determiners. Determiners are quite simply words that come right before nouns, and they specify something about that noun's quantity, definiteness, or ownership. Basically, just think of them as helpful little pointer words that tell the listener exactly which thing or how much of a thing we are actually talking about.
There are just a few main types to know. We have articles, like a, in, and the. We've got demonstratives that literally point things out, like this pot or that boot. Possessives that show ownership, like my dream or her clay. Then there are numerals for counting, like one or many. And finally, distributives, like each and every. We actually use these tiny words every single day to make our stories clear and specific. Think about it. If I say my dream instead of just a dream, I'm using a determiner to make it totally personal.
Okay, let's bring this all together now. Picture a really beautiful, vibrant vase full of flowers. This represents what happens when everything finally clicks. To truly blossom into your full potential, you need Scintilla's burning passion, combined with the practical life skills that Mr. Gessler sadly ignored, and the proper tools and knowledge, like our grammar rules, to actually share your amazing ideas with the world.
Part 5. Finding your true calling.
Ultimately, finding your true calling, your vocation, is really all about balancing all of these things. It's about finding that wonderful thing you love to do, learning from great mentors, and adapting to the world around you so that you can succeed. Do you remember the music that Scintilla heard in the tap-tap of the spatula? That rhythmic beat was literally the sound of her future falling right into place. I want you guys to think about what brings you that exact same joy, focus, and drive.
So as we wrap up, I'm going to leave you with this final, really important question. What music will guide your vocation? What is the one skill or passion that makes you want to practice, learn, and grow every single day? Take some time to think about it, find your tools, and start building your dream right now. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.